Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us on Rise and Shine with the Alabama Cares program this morning. It is February 7th, 2025. It's 7:30 in the morning, and I'm your host, Tibbetts Hurst, and we have another great show lined up for you with yet another important resource for our community. And today we have Krychelle Smith, the Executive Director of Second Chance Incorporated. Welcome.
Thank you for having me on.
Okay, well, I worked there long time ago, and I know a little bit about Second Chance and what all they do. And there's so many good things that you guys do for ladies and gentlemen that are faced with abuse. And so, first, let's start off by you giving us a little bit of history about Second Chance and how it came to be.
So Second Chance was incorporated in June of 1987, so it's been around for quite a while now.
Yeah. Oh dear.
We had some women who recognized the need for there to be a separate shelter, and specifically for women that had been abused, and so they split off from the Salvation Army.
Okay.
And
I say that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
I think I knew that. But.
That is how it came to be, and so it's been around for 36 years.
Don't say that. I've been graduated that long. That's terrible. Yeah. Okay, but yeah, I remember when there was only like one, like you said, so it split off from the Salvation Army, but then I remember that they only had like one location at one time, and then I know that it changed since then, and then they had two locations, and actually I think one location used to be, wasn't it like a thrift store or something to make money?
Yes,
you no longer have that.
No, we no longer have the thrift store. That shut down during COVID.
Okay.
And so now we just solely focus on our outreach and our emergency shelter.
Okay, so with that being said, so what are some of the services that are offered at Second Chance? I mean, housing, counseling, court advocacy for children?
Correct. We have a 24-hour crisis line, so anyone in crisis or anyone who just wants to ask questions about domestic violence or about their situation, they can call that number anytime, night and day. We do have an emergency, we have two emergency shelter locations, and that's for anyone who is seeking safety. We service the Calhoun, Cleburne, Etowah, and Talladega County, so we have a very large service area.
Yes, you do.
We provide counseling. We have a licensed counselor on staff. We assist people with getting protection orders, and we do provide court advocacy. We also do case management. We help people kind of figure out how they need to get out of their situation or stay away from that situation. What resources do they need? We connect them with those. We have a child advocate who specifically works for the children that are impacted.
Yes.
So we offer just a wide array. We can assist people that are coming out of that domestic violence situation into getting into their own space.
Right. And people don't realize, that children are so affected by domestic violence, and especially your really young children. I feel like they, they're just so confused because, especially if that's their father or their mom, whichever the abuser is, that they don't know anything but that's their parent. And it's so hard because I know that I was a child advocate there years and years ago, but I remember some of the kids that came through and that I talked to, and having to help them realize that just because they're, it wasn't their fault, number one, that kind of thing too. But people don't realize how much it affects the kids, because the kids, even though they're living in a abusive situation with their mom and everything, that they think that's all they know.
Yeah, they don't understand what healthy looks like.
Right.
They've never seen it.
Yes.
So for them, that is their norm. That is their everyday life. And so we are very fortunate that we can provide services to the whole family, because it is, even though the children may not be suffering abuse at all, it still affects them
mentally.
It impacts their lives.
Oh yeah.
And so those children are more at risk later on in life.
I can see that, yeah.
So we try to help teach them what is normal, what is healthy, what does that look like, how should things in a relationship operate.
And people don't realize too that a lot of times your abusers, they grew up in an abusive home,
Yes.
and that's because it's a learned behavior.
It is. It's a
And
cycle.
so, yes, it's a cycle. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And so they don't realize that, that person that's the abuser, that's all they know as well, because that's all they've seen their whole entire life, or all that they saw their whole entire life. So, and people don't realize too that domestic violence is not always somebody that's physically abusing you. I mean, you want to talk a little bit about that, because I mean, you can tell about different forms, like there's emotional abuse, financial abuse, technological abuse, and we can really get into that later on too, but people don't realize it's not just physical that you guys help with. I mean, because there's lots of different ways that somebody can abuse you.
It is very rare that a domestic violence situation begins with physical abuse. That's usually towards the tail end. Yes, it escalates up. It typically begins with manipulation and emotional abuse, coercion, and so it's very mental. And that is why we do offer the counseling, because you have to kind of break apart separate out what's reality and what you've
and
picked up from that
relationship. I mean, I know girls that, like, even when I was in high school, college, I mean, they don't realize that, well, you don't need your friends. I'm the only friend you need.
Yeah.
And they would try to pull them away from their relationships, with their parents, their friends, their siblings, or whoever, but then also financial abuse. If they're the sole breadwinner, then they withhold money to get to control them.
Yes.
Because it's all about control.
It is. It's all about control. And so if they can convince you that you don't need others, that you can solely rely on them, or if they make it to where you have to rely on them, then they've got you in a position that's very hard for people to get out of, because they have no support system and they have no finances to assist themselves.
Right, and that weighs a lot on. I mean, people don't realize that it's easier for all of us to sit here and say, well, why don't they leave? It's not as easy as it sounds, because they have been groomed. I mean, like you said, it doesn't start off them hitting them. They start off, and your heart can't help who you love, right?
Yes.
And I mean, they get in this relationship with this person who was Mr. Wonderful or Miss Wonderful at the very beginning, and then all of a sudden, it's just, then they start realizing, oh, wait a minute, but it takes a lot sometimes for them to even realize that.
Yeah, it does. They will then just always try to get back to what that loving feeling felt like at the very beginning. So, you want to do whatever they ask you to do or whatever they're saying so that you can get that love from them.
Right.
And so it makes it hard, because you're just chasing that affection feeling.
Right. And especially for somebody who's had, I feel like that has put some time into a relationship, that's your energy, your time, your heart and soul into something. And like you said, you're always chasing, I always compared it to like a volcano. It was like, walking on eggshells, and then it would erupt, and then after that it would go down calm again, and then it was just like you said, it's a cycle, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later as well. But the emotional abuse, financial abuse, technological abuse, what are some other,
a lot of times today we do see a lot of the financial typically in all of the abusive situations, where the people have either the victims have not been able to work, or their work has been impacted by their spouse or their abuser takes the money that they do have coming in. And so we do see a lot of that. When we say technological abuse, what that looks like in this day and age, because technology is everywhere, it looks like the victim being tracked, their location, their social media being monitored all the time, their emails being monitored. And so we see a lot of that now. They'll, abusers will have cameras that are constantly watching the victims. It's so
That's
easy to have that stuff now. We have a lot of that stuff for safety and protection in general, and then a lot of times it can be misused and turned.
Take advantage
Yes.
of it being there. And guys, we take for granted that, we don't have to deal with that, but we take for granted. I mean, and that's why it's so important to be kind. You guys, I can't express that enough, because you never know what somebody's going through.
Yeah.
And and it's embarrassing to them, and they don't want to admit it, and they don't want to really reach out to someone. And by the time they do, when they come to you guys, that's wonderful. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys the 24-hour hotline that you need to call before we go to a break. I just wanted to make sure that we do that. The 24-hour crisis line number is 256-236-7233. So if you need to talk to someone, that's the correct number, correct?
That is the correct number.
So if you need to talk to someone, if you have questions, or if you need information about where to go, or you need help.
If you need help, we have someone answering that line all day, every day. There's never a time when it's down.
Yeah, so it's a 24-hour line. So it's 256-236-7233, right?
Yes.
256-236-7233. And please give that, keep that number somewhere safe. It's, because, like you said, if they're being monitored or whatever, you just make sure that you, and how, that's maybe something we could talk about too, is how they can actually get things like put numbers somewhere or whatever to keep them safe until they are ready to call somebody.
Yes.
So we are going to have to go to a break. You are watching Rise and Shine with Alabama Cares program here on WEAC TV 24, and we're going to go to a break and hear from our wonderful sponsors, and we will be right back.
I want to live. The leading cause of death of young Americans like me is gun violence, and oftentimes tied to substance misuse. NBA, NFL, NCAA, most of you look like me, and our communities need you now more than ever. Let's make I Want to Live more than just a hashtag. Let's make it a movement. I am a baller against bullets.
At Alexandria Brake and Muffler, we strive to perform exceptional service using premium quality parts to ensure your vehicle withstands the test of time. We do all automotive maintenance and repairs consisting of AC service, check engine light diagnostics, brakes, coolant, and exhaust. Give us a call today. Proudly serving our community to provide honest, high-quality service and repair at a fair price.
At Family Prosthetic and Medical Supply, we care about you. We offer custom prosthetics, orthotics, diabetic shoes, and durable medical supplies. We're located here in Alexandria, Alabama, where it's a country feel, but professional care. Come see us today.
Hello, my name is Bob Couch, and I'm the owner of Couch's Jewelers. We are your destination for engagement rings, wedding bands, and anniversary and birthday gifts. We offer a wide selection of the best value diamond jewelry and engagement rings. We even gift wrap every purchase for free. And if you have some jewelry that is broken, no worries. Expert jewelry service is offered in-house. At Couch's Jewelers, our customer service is unmatched. If you would like a special jewelry item created just for you, please come to see us.
Welcome back to WEAC TV 24, Rise and Shine with Alabama Cares program. I'm Ellen Tibbetts Hurst, and we are speaking to Miss Krychelle, correct? Did I say that right? Again, I'm always scared I'm going to mess that up. From the Second Chance Domestic Violence Agency. And we were talking in the break a little bit about statistics. You want to share that with some of the audience and to let them know how big of an impact this really is?
Yes. So typically about every 9 seconds in the United States, a woman is beaten. She's physically beaten by an abuser. Domestic violence affects 1 in 3 women, but also 1 in 4 men. Men are just less likely to
report
it.
Yeah.
And then nearly 8 million women are physically assaulted and or stalked by an intimate partner every year.
That's amazing. That's scary.
Yes, and so nationwide, an average of 3 women a day are killed by an abuser.
Oh, wow. That's so sad. I mean, wow.
It is. And you had talked a little bit about children, but children exposed to violence, they're more likely to commit suicide, abuse drugs and alcohol, be victims of trafficking, or commit sexual assault crimes. They are also about 90% of the children that we see are direct eyewitnesses, like they've physically witnessed it occur. And so
a lot of your abusers actually like use the kids and make them witness it just to make the mom feel.
Yeah, it's a form of coercion, like a form of control. They'll utilize the children as a form of control.
That's so sad.
Yes.
So sad. And you were talking about how 1 in 4 men, and you know, so I see things that haven't changed in all these years that, I mean, because it's been quite a long time since I worked with domestic violence, and I remember even then, that's been close to 25 years ago, but I mean, I remember then that, you know, that was one of the things that we always talked about how that men just don't report it. And, you know, we talked earlier too, off camera, about how people just give that, you know, stereotype of, well, it's just women, it's women with lower economic background, or that kind of thing. We talked about how it touches everybody. It doesn't matter what income you have, what race you are, where you work, how many kids you have.
It affects everyone, no matter gender or socioeconomic status. Like it you know, it ranges from the top to the bottom. So anyone can be a victim at any time.
And you know, we work at East Alabama Planning Commission. We work with caregivers, and we work with caregivers that are taking care of their loved ones. You know, a lot of our caregivers are senior citizens because we are the area agency on aging. But we also have, you know, grandparents raising grandchildren. That kind of thing. And, you know, people don't realize that it's not just young women that are being abused. I mean, it's elderly women, it's elderly men, it's the LGBTQ. I mean, like everybody just across the board. There's no, like you said, there's no like mold, little cookie cutter that you can say, oh, well, this is the person that's being abused.
Yeah, no, we specifically have a safe shelter for victims of elder abuse. So for some of our victims who are a little older in age and have mobility issues, the state of Alabama defines domestic violence essentially as relationship violence. So it could be within a family, it could be just an intimate partner, it could be in the form of stalking, in which case you wouldn't even have to know the other person. So it just it's some kind of relationship.
Not just somebody that's married or dating somebody. I mean, yeah, because it actually could be, I guess, like a child and a parent.
Yeah.
Or
especially in our generation, we see a lot of people having to raise their elderly parents, and those elderly parents do experience some elder abuse. We get those cases. DHR has a whole program specific to elder abuse.
You know, we refer people all the time. You know, if you feel that way, and plus we're mandatory reporters, so you know, we definitely work with our DHRs. I mean, we work 10 counties, so we definitely work with them to let you know if you feel like there's abuse going on, you definitely, and you can actually call anonymous just like you can with children. People don't realize that, but they have adult services at DHR. So if you feel like somebody is being taken advantage of financially, which happens a lot with seniors, financial abuse, emotional abuse, mental abuse, all the physical, you can call DHR, and DHR has that number as well, and or you can call, like you know, like you said, you call Second Chance, because they could actually give you the resources anyway
Yes.
to let you know. So again, that is 256-236-7233. That's the crisis line. That's 24/7 that you were talking about. It's up there. There it is, 24-hour crisis line. Make sure that you guys take a note of that. And what would you tell if someone's out here in our audience that is, they know that they're in a violent situation or an abusive situation? What do you recommend that they do to stay safe so they can call someone?
The most important thing, I think, is creating a safety plan. So with Second Chance, you don't necessarily have to come into our shelter. You can just come in and meet with someone, and they'll help you create a safety plan.
Oh,
so
that's
find a
great.
support group, come up with some code words so that if you say them, someone knows that you need help, you need
Right.
assistance.
That's clever.
We'll show you how to utilize your phone in order to call for help in a recognizable way, like just utilizing the technology that we have to keep
So that the
yourself safe.
abuser doesn't know
Yes.
if they're keeping tabs on you
Yes.
through the technological abuse,
Yes.
as we were talking about earlier. So, well, that's good to know. I mean, and ladies and gentlemen both, I mean, if you feel like you're being abused, please take advantage of calling that crisis line and I want you guys to know that there are resources out there in our communities, and our communities are so wonderful. And
Yes.
I appreciate you doing what you do. I mean, because I feel like, when you're in this type of work, you have to have a servant heart. I mean, you do. And when you see stuff that, when Pam Stack and I, she was my guest last week, and we were talking about human trafficking last week. So if you missed that show, go back and watch it. But, it's dark subjects that nobody wants to talk about, but we need to talk about them.
Yeah, they happen a lot more than I think people realize. I mean, just 2 weeks ago, we had a couple domestic violence incidents in the Anniston area, 2 back to back. And so in the interview with the chief of police, he mentioned that last year alone, they had over 600 calls in the city of Anniston for domestic violence. And that's just one city in the 4 counties that we serve. We see that a lot in all the cities, them receiving high volume calls of domestic violence.
Right. And wow. You were talking about the statistics, and do you have statistics just for Alabama, or do you have statistics for our area, or no?
So
That's just national.
I have a fun fact.
Okay.
Alabama was one of the first states. Alabama and Massachusetts were the first states to make domestic violence illegal.
Really?
Yes, back in the 1800s. A lot of times we
And
fall
look at
dead
there,
last.
Alabama. They always make fun of Alabama and say that Alabama's last at everything, and there we go.
Yes, we have a wonderful state coalition, and we have a lot of agencies around the state. Now, granted, there's only like 15 of us, but we work very hard to try to protect as many victims as possible, but to also educate. We go around and we give talks to anyone who wants us to come and speak, whether it be a church or an organization or a school, so that people can not only understand the signs and understand what domestic violence is, but to also change the stigma from asking a victim why they don't leave a situation.
Right, yeah.
Making them understand it's better to ask why someone is abusive. Because there's never a reason for
love
that.
doesn't hurt.
No. But also to teach people what healthy relationships look like, so that you can distinguish between.
And education is the
Yes.
key to everything, isn't
Correct.
it? I mean, I feel Pam and I were talking about that. Every guest we ever have here on the Friday Rise and Shine show, when we give resources, we talk about that all the time, about how education is key, because the more you know, the better
Yeah.
you are. I mean, it empowers you, to make decisions. It empowers you to help other people. And you may not be the person that actually needs help, but how about if you had a neighbor or somebody in your church,
Yeah.
or if you had a friend at school and you knew. that they
It
were
teaches
being...
you to recognize the signs.
Yeah.
And then it also gives you a list of resources to help that person. You know, again, domestic violence is very mental. And so a person that's in it may not realize that they're in that situation, but someone from the outside may be able to pick up the signs and may be able to step in to help or protect, or at least be there to support that person until they are in the frame of mind to be able to leave that situation.
To get the courage to,
Yes.
you know, and I'm sure you'll talk about that too in the cycle, but just a little quick before we go to our next break. But, you know, when a person leaves, and that's another thing that they don't realize, when a person leaves their abuser, that's where it's the most critical. That's when it's the most dangerous time.
Yes,
because it's all about control.
It is.
And when that person leaves, that the abuser no longer has control, so they're like going.
That's that time period it's the most heightened and the most prevalent for extreme violence. That's
Right.
when someone leaves is typically when you have the murder suicides or when it ends, unfortunately. So it's definitely hard to leave those situations because the victims know that is the next step.
And do you find it that an abuser, like if one woman leaves him, or a lady or a man leaves the lady that he's, you know, whichever dynamic you're looking at, do you not, isn't there some like statistics or something, or some kind of studies that show that when that abuser leaves that one victim and they move on to somebody else, that their violence escalates each relationship? Does it not?
Correct.
Okay, I remembered something. Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
So whereas they may have only been showing the emotional abuse with you, it will continue to escalate each relationship after that because they don't want to lose control again.
Right. I see that. So that's something for you guys to look at too. If you're in, and again, please call that crisis line. We'll give it to you right before we go to break. It's the 24-hour crisis line for the second chance. There it is. It's 256-236-7233, and it's 24/7. You said somebody's always there to answer it and everything. So please save that number. Make sure that you have it. In case that you need it. And I hope that if you are out there looking, watching us today, I hope that you have the courage to make that phone call. And we're going to go take a break to hear from our sponsors. And you are watching WEAC TV 24's Rise and Shine with the Alabama Cares program. And stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
At Southern States Bank, we pride ourselves on being your bank. We're your neighbors and involved in the community. We're the bank featuring the Southern Rewards checking account, a cashback account with no ATM fees. We are on the cutting edge and always have a smiling face to help you out. So come to Southern States Bank, where we are committed to great service and being a great neighbor. Let us be the bank for you and your business.
Whether you are traveling or on the rebound, get with your local Allstate and huddle up to find the best options for you. With a strong variety of coverages to choose from, Allstate is on a mission to get you in good hands today.
I'm Alan Parnell, Parnell Insurance Agency. We've been here in Oxford and Alabama, Tallapoosa, Georgia since 1990. With Auto Owners Insurance, we're able to give customers competitive pricing along with excellent coverages. Parnell Insurance can handle all of your personal, commercial, and life insurance needs. We have a very experienced staff, both personal and commercial. All together, we've got about 125 years experience. Come see what our insurance agency can do for you in Oxford, Alabama, and Tallapoosa, Georgia.
Auto Owners Insurance. Since 1848, First Bank of Alabama has been serving East Central Alabama. Now serving 6 counties in East Central Alabama. We now currently have 13 locations, expanding to 15 locations. In 2024, we opened Anniston, right here in Calhoun County. Whenever we first came to Calhoun County, it was 2019 in Oxford. Whenever we're expanding, we're now going to Jacksonville in 2025. We look forward to continuing to be in your local hometown bank right here in Calhoun County in East Central Alabama.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine on this Friday, February 7th, 2025. And I forgot to tell you that on Fridays we do the Friday dance. We had to, everybody's like, go Friday, go Friday. Yay, she did it. Not all my guests do it. So. But not much to dance about when we're talking about subjects like we're talking about today, but sometimes there are good stories too. I'm sure, great stories that people get out of this and everything, but people don't realize the power and control that that person has over them. And I was talking about the volcano and walking on eggshells and everything, and it's like, and I know there's like a honeymoon period and all that. Can you explain that to them about the power and the control and the will?
Yes. Like we've mentioned before, it doesn't always start out physical violence. But it is about power and control. Every part of domestic violence for that abuser is about power and control. And a lot of times it'll start with emotional abuse and intimidation. So, making someone afraid. Maybe they say mean things about your looks. They don't make you feel like anyone else would want you, or destroying your property, your things, abusing your pets, displaying weapons at you, or making you feel bad about yourself, calling you names, making you feel like you're crazy. That's a huge one, because if you start to doubt your own self,
yes,
it's easy to keep you submissive, because it's harder for you to distinguish what is reality and what this person is making you believe is reality.
And it's just a will of violence.
Yes,
that's what the power and control will.
It just continues. So then they will start to isolate you against your, from your family and your friends, because they're able to coerce you a little more when you don't have a support system, when you don't have anyone to go to. And they can do that by poisoning your relationships with those people. They can, sometimes it's moving people away. We'll have a lot of victims that come to us who are states away from where they live. Their abuser has moved them out. And in those instances, we just get them back to their support system. It's easy for them to be out of this situation when they're nowhere around the abuser.
Right.
You can start to break free, gain that mental clarity.
And we do have a graphic of the power and control will as well.
They will blame you. A lot of things will be your fault. For their behavior is your fault, which is a little bit silly when another adult is blaming their own behavior on someone else. We wouldn't allow children to do that. So, but when you're in that situation, you start accepting that.
Right. So their response to that person is they'll get blamed for their response to the abuse that the other person is putting on them. So
you made them hit you.
Yeah, right.
You made them behave like that. In public. You made them break those things. Like, if you wouldn't have looked at them that way, or behaved that way, or spoke this word, this sentence or whatever. A lot of times, people that have children together, we will see them use the children as a manipulation and coercion tool. They make a victim feel guilty about the children. They use the children to relay messages. Even if you separate from that person, a lot of times we'll see the abuser utilize children during visitation to harass.
Oh, wow.
They'll threaten to take them away or keep you from seeing them.
I can see that.
Yes. And then economic abuse, that's that financial abuse that we talked about, preventing someone from having a job, or either keeping them or preventing them from keeping a job. That could be making them late to work, or making them miss work because, you know, a lot of people are not going to go in if they've been physically assaulted and they have bruises everywhere.
Right.
You know, the abuser's not going to let them go to work like that. Taking a victim's money, letting them know that they don't have access to the house or any property, keeping that from them. Those are all tools for coercion.
Right, and you can
And
see
threats.
how the wheel
It just
here
keeps
that you
going.
just went over, it just keeps going around and around and around. I mean,
Yeah.
it just keeps spinning until you, as the victim, decides to put a stop to it. And,
Yes.
and a lot of people, too, don't realize that, you know, like we're using stereotypes again, you know, how stereotypical, you know, people think, well, they can't be abused because I don't see black eyes, or they don't have broken bones, or they don't do. Well, you know, folks, I mean, abusers are, some of them are pretty smart, and they'll hit in places where they know
It can't be seen.
can't be seen. So you've got to think about that too, and that goes back to what I said earlier. I mean, kindness, it matters.
Yes, it does. Well, and for our male victims, it may not always look exactly the same. Yes, females who are abusers can use children just the same.
Yes.
Females tend to be very good at manipulation and coercion, and we see that a lot. But believe it or not, their physical violence doesn't typically look the same. When it escalates to that, typically it is more volatile and results in death when the women decide to become
Abusive.
violent. Yeah,
Right.
in those situations.
So you said that the seniors, the senior victims, that they have their own place. You said they have a separate home. So let me ask you this. So in our area, the domestic violence victims, do the men have a separate place? Do the women have a separate place? Do the LGBTQ population, do they have, or are they all housed under one roof?
So our men and our LGBTQ victims are housed, I mean, one of our shelters is very large, so they have their own floor with access to their own bathrooms.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
Okay.
so they're separated out, but not completely separate, right? They're
Right.
still victims. They still need the services that we provide. They still need a warm and peaceful environment.
A safe environment.
A safe environment, and so we do give them that. I think in years past, we kept them completely separate, but more and more our organizations, our DV organizations, are just doing a larger facility with separate floors.
That would make it easier for the workers and the
Yes.
counselors and so forth. I mean, I would think.
Yes, well, because there aren't as many resources for DV victims, and so there's not as many organizations available as
Right.
as we would like. You
Right.
know, ultimately we would love to see one for each county, and there would be multiple
Oh yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
workers, but that's not always the case. And so we want them to feel like that we are assisting them just as well as women. We don't get as many of them. Again, it goes unreported, and even if it is reported, they're less likely to come into shelter.
That's so sad
so it
because,
doesn't.
you know, no matter what your beliefs are, you know, people are people.
Yes.
Humans are humans, you know,
Yes.
and no one deserves to feel unsafe,
Yes.
unworthy, unwanted, and just, you know, scared.
Yeah.
You know, in fear all the time. And so that's wonderful that, you know, you guys cater to all populations. I mean,
Correct.
as it should be. you
Yes.
know, so
We do try to make everyone feel safe. So having the women having their own floor and their own bathrooms and not having to share those spaces, you know.
oh, that's very understandable. Yes.
That protects them and helps them heal, but also any other victims that come in, whether male or LGBTQ, them having their own space also helps them heal in their way, which is what we want. We believe in fostering that hope and healing for everyone. And again, not everyone needs to come into shelter. And so
Right.
even If there are male victims and they don't want to come into shelter, we have all those services available through outreach. And again, we don't charge anything for our services.
It's free.
It's completely free.
Yeah, so when you call that number 256-236-7233, there's no charge.
There's no charge.
It's a free service, a free resource to our communities. And you said that you covered Etowah, Calhoun, Cleburne, and Talladega.
Correct. Yes.
Correct. Okay. So if you're in any of those areas, and if it's just something you just have a question about something, like you said, not everybody needs to be in a shelter.
No.
And just because you call doesn't mean they're going to put you in a shelter.
No.
Second Chance is not about that. They're there to help you. So, I mean, even if you have questions, and I feel like that's the first step for so many people, just to get to that. Yeah.
Have a place to get answers.
Yes.
Or again, that self-doubt. A lot of victims have that self-doubt, and so just talking to someone that can verify that you're not crazy. Those things are occurring for you.
This is not normal.
No. And another reason our services are free, especially like that outreach piece, counseling is very important, but if a victim were to have to use their insurance, their abuser would know that they're receiving counseling. So when there's not a charge for those things, it makes it safer for people to come in and seek those services and receive those services without fear. Everyone can be able to get out, maybe to go to the grocery store and take some time to come in and grab some resources.
Or a safety plan.
Safety plan is
very important.
Yes, safety plan is number one.
Yes, safety plan is very important. So they can come to see you, and it doesn't matter if they have kids with them or anything.
No,
I mean,
they
you
can
just have
bring
to,
children, they can bring parents, they can...
And just because you guys, I mean, if you reach out to Second Chance, I mean, doesn't, like you said, it doesn't mean that you have to shelter there. I mean, they're not going to hold you hostage there at all.
All of our services are confidential, so we offer that to everyone. So
and that's very important.
Correct. We keep your name safe. We keep your information safe.
And the address safe.
That's
why we haven't said where it was, because we can't say. It's top secret. So, and I mean, there's a reason behind that too. So, so that's why we can't tell anyone where it is, because everything is confidential.
Correct. Now, our admin offices are available for anyone to stop by anytime. We do offer support groups and things like that. People can come in and get information. People can come in and make donations. But as far as the emergency shelters, those are kept.
Right, and when we come back, you can give them the address of your administrative address as well of your administration building. So you are watching Rise and Shine with the Alabama Cares here on WEAC TV 24, and let's go to a break to hear from our wonderful sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Hey guys, I'm Cameron Minton with Minton Home Center. Minton Home Center has been in business for over 40 years. We are a family-owned and operated manufactured home dealership. We offer affordable housing for our customers, as well as a multitude of different financing options to help our customers get into a new home. When you come to Minton Home Center and you start looking around our lot, the first thing you will notice is that we have the most competitive prices in the industry.
Hey guys, this is Blair Smith at Pediatrics Plus here in Anniston, located on Henry Road. I'm over here on the well side, but we do also have a sick side urgent care if you need us. We are more than happy to see you guys. Just come on, check us out if you get a fever, cough, or cold, or want to come in for a good checkup. Thank you.
Cutter's Pizzeria is celebrating 5 years with 2 locations in Alexandria and Oxford, Alabama. Open Monday through Saturday for dine-in, takeout, and delivery. Y'all come on out for our popular 5-pound pizza, wings, salads, pastas, and more. You can find out more about Cutter's Pizzeria at cutterspizzeria.com.
How you doing? This is Teresa Garrett from Freedom Tax Service of Oxford, Alabama. Come on down for our new up to $7,000 advance that starts and gets you your money within 24 hours all the way up to 72 hours. Come on down and see us today. We are open from 9 to 7 Monday through Friday, and on Saturdays are by appointment only. Again, don't be a slave to your taxes. Choose freedom.
Welcome back, everyone, to Rise and Shine with the Alabama Cares program. Thank you so much for joining us on this Friday morning on February 7th. And I have Miss Krychelle here with us from Second Chance, and we were talking about the power control wheel. And we're going to talk a little bit about the teenager and that side of it. I learned that February is Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. So tell us a little bit about that, especially now that social media is also so prevalent. I'm sure that has a lot to do with the teen part of it.
The younger demographics, ages 16 to 24, are actually the highest population that we see abuse in, and that's typically where they start. You know, people are just starting out to date. They're not very experienced. Also, we know from science that the brain is not fully formed until 25.
Right.
So they're still learning, but we do see that being the biggest population that receives abuse. There's a lot of peer pressure.
I was about to say peer pressure, and if you're dating the quarterback of the football team or somebody that's popular, and even though they're abusive, you don't want to say anything, and
peer pressure and social status are really big.
I can see that.
Really, really big, and so for teens, and a lot of them don't have emotional regulation at that point, and so there's a lot of anger. That can
and we
be
have
shown.
A control wheel for that too,
Yes.
for the teen control wheel.
Now there's still some of the same tactics that you see, that isolation and exclusion, the emotional abuse. Teens suffer from a lack of self-esteem.
Right.
It's really hard when you're at that age. Everybody's
I'm sure that's a big
awkward
factor
and weird.
too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so your abusers take advantage of that, and they'll make it even lower. They'll lower your self-esteem through that emotional abuse, through intimidation. They do the same with the isolation and exclusion and blaming the victim, and then threats. But we also see a lot of sexual coercion at that time too.
Right. So peer pressure.
Yes, that peer pressure is really big at that age. And so, and a lot of teens will not necessarily talk to their parents.
Oh no, they won't. Yeah.
About it.
I worked with the teenage population before, so yes, you are correct.
They won't talk to their parents about it. So it's very important for us to speak to teens and young adults and let them know what healthy relationships
so
look like.
So if you're a school out there listening, and you work in a school or a university, junior college, all those places, you need to call Miss Krychelle over here and let her people come in and speak to you, because that's very important, especially to nip it right and when they're young, so that it's not a cycle that can, like an abuser or, and are there any things that you do too to like talk to abusers that may have not escalated to that point yet, but they're young, and maybe it's a cycle from where they've seen their father treat their mom that way, or
that's where teaching them healthy, unhealthy abuse. Like, there's 3 forms, right? So it could borderline, there could be a few unhealthy factors in there, but once someone is able to recognize those, not just the victim, but the abuser, okay, what I'm doing is unhealthy. That's not the way I need to be communicating with someone. It's easy to start correcting them at that time.
It's easier to change your behavior.
Yes, to change their behavior until it escalates to full-on abuse. Again, because these are people that have maybe seen that abuse happen.
I think it's normal.
And think it's normal. Or only seeing unhealthy relationships in their lives and not have a good grasp on what healthy looks like, or the techniques that you need to have for a healthy relationship, good communication, boundaries, expectations and understanding when you're dating someone. And so it's great for our teens and young adults to know so that they can start forming those boundaries. They understand what healthy boundaries are, what expectations you can have in a relationship, and what may be a little bit unrealistic.
Right. So February would be a good time for all of you guys to call Krychelle, to call her, and where we said we were going to give the address to your administration.
Yes, our administration office is at 617 Wilmer Avenue.
Okay.
And so we invite, we're there 8 to 4 Monday through Thursday, and so we invite people to stop by.
Now, do they call the crisis line? They don't call the crisis line to get in touch with you, though,
we have an administration number.
Can you give that to them?
Yes, it's 256-236-7381. It's also on our website, so if you go to secondchanceinc.org, we have information on there. We have our contact information on there.
So you can just Google Second Chance Inc.
You can just Google Second Chance Inc. I will say, like most DV sites, there is an escape button on there. So if you are a victim and you're looking up information, but you need to quickly leave that site and you don't want to embed it in your history, you just press the button and it takes it out for you.
Oh, isn't that's awesome?
Yes.
That's a good part of the technology,
yes,
right?
That's a great part of technology.
So February is teen abuse, dating.
Teen dating violence awareness month.
Awareness month. So all you guys out there, churches too, youth groups, that would be a really good,
yes.
Because there's no,
We have Cleburne County next week is having a program for their middle school girls.
Oh, we do that.
Yes.
The Girls Gone
Gone Mild.
Yes. We participate in that as well.
Yes. So we do events like that where we go in and we teach them like how to listen to themselves and how to trust themselves and how to set those boundaries and think about what they want to see.
That's wonderful. And so I know that you guys are nonprofit. So what are some of the ways that the community can be involved or support Second Chance through maybe volunteer opportunities or events?
Yes, we are always looking for volunteers. We have options where you can be a part of the direct services where you're hands-on, and we have options where you don't have to come into contact with clients at all. We do train everyone who comes into our facility so that you, because it's not always easy to work with people who have been through a lot of trauma. Who've been through a lot of trauma.
It weighs heavy on you, working with it too. I remember
how to
that.
protect yourself from that secondhand experience. But we always need volunteers to kind of come in and help. We take donations of like hygiene products and things like that for our shelters because we use those. So we need people to come in and help sort those things out. Clothing that we've received for our clients. We look for people to come in who maybe have been victims and survived. Those survivors, we need them to come back and share their stories.
Oh, wouldn't that be wonderful to tell them how they came out of it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It gives hope to those that are in the midst of it. And so we also utilize volunteers to come in and cook the meals. Cooking for a large number of people is never easy, but it always helps when there are volunteers that help come in and prepare the meals for the people in shelter.
And I'm sure you're not going to say no to all those that are retired and can cook good.
Yes.
So that's an opportunity. That's a good opportunity to actually volunteer. And I know that you have an awareness walk, and I always remember this because I can remember this this must have been like since the beginning of time that they've done the gift wrapping.
Yes.
Because do you guys do that at the mall? Mall?
We do it at the Quintard Mall.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
They are so good to us in allowing us to come in there and giving us space to do that. They look forward to it every year. We look forward to it every year. We always need volunteers to sign up to wrap those gifts.
So if you're a good gift wrapper and make pretty bows.
If you're not, just bring your gifts in to be wrapped.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, to donate, yeah,
that
definitely.
is one of our fundraisers. So we do utilize volunteers for all of our events and fundraisers.
Now, do you have a spring gala?
We do. May 16th, we will be having a spring gala up at Longleaf Event Center.
Oh, that's a nice place.
This year's theme is sock hop. It's
sock
poodle
hop.
Skirts and like
saddle
50,
shoes, little scarves and all that kind of stuff.
We have a different theme every year.
Oh, that's fun.
I'm always excited to hear what our fundraising committee comes up with.
So, how much are tickets to the spring gala?
So tickets, we don't have that price set yet, but it's typically around $25, $25, $30.
Oh, that's nothing to go to a sock hop. That's fun.
No,
and the money goes to a good cause.
The money goes to a good cause.
You guys have a band and all
we
that?
have a DJ. We have great food and desserts. We will also have a silent auction going on, and that'll actually be available online this year.
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
For those that can't come.
Yes, they can still bid on items that we have. We are looking for sponsors for that event now and getting all the things ready for that because it's coming up soon.
Yeah, May will be here before you know it.
Yes.
Finally, now that January is over, that seemed like it was like 60 days.
Yes.
But yeah, so you have that. You have adopt a family program too.
Yes. Now that's also in December. So we start getting our families and stuff together around October, November for that. Like so you can adopt a family that is actually in shelter with us and provide Christmas for them so that they still get the joy of Christmas morning even though they are in the shelter.
Yeah, but I'm sure you guys, you decorate for Christmas and all that good stuff.
We go big. We do a big dinner, like lots of trees. Lots of Christmas trees and stuff.
Especially for the children to let them see what normal's supposed to be like. Yeah, that's huge. Wow, there's a lot of volunteer opportunities out there, guys. I mean, lots of volunteer opportunities. So you have the gala, the walk. When is the awareness walk?
Domestic Violence Awareness Month is in October. And we typically do a walk, we do pet pictures, we do a cookout. And then this past year, leading up to that, Anniston Police Department actually does an event called Walk a Mile in Her Shoes.
Yes, I have seen that.
And
that's wonderful.
they have men get so men come out for that and walk a mile in women's shoes. So heels, sandals, like wedges, platforms.
Oh, that is awesome.
And so the men get sponsors, and we come out and cheer them on as they walk that mile.
Fun.
But they do that to raise funds for us as well. So that'll be coming up. It leads up and kicks off Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Okay, so there's a lot of things that you can get involved with, and give them your administration number again.
So our administration number is 256-236-7381.
So it's 236-7381 for administration, and then it's 256-236-7233 for the crisis hotline.
Yes.
So, but there are plenty of opportunities out there for you to volunteer, to go to the gala, to the walk, to the walk a mile in their shoes. I mean, there's like all kinds of stuff.
There's all kinds of ways to support, and there's people can do donation drives. They can, there's all kinds of ways we let people get involved.
Just call Krychelle and ask her what needs to be done. Right?
Yes, we have a long list.
How you can help. Are there any last, I guess, comments or information that you want to give to the audience today?
I would just like to thank everyone for supporting our organization for the 36 years that we have been here. It's amazing that our community has this place that is there for victims, And so our hope is that that we work ourselves out of a job. That's
Wouldn't
our
that
goal.
be nice?
That would be
But there
so
would
nice.
be no more domestic violence, right? No more domestic violence. So, well, we appreciate you being here today. Thank you for your time, and thank you for giving all the information out to our audience, because I'm a true believer, you know, that education is power, resources is power. So we thank you for joining us today, and please share this. This is also on our Facebook page, on WEAC TV 24's Facebook page, and it's going to be on on air as well. So we will see you next week, and thank you for joining Alabama Cares Rise and Shine on WEAC TV 24, and we hope you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.